welcome to another video. I couldn't do vlogs during the last days, so I have a little bit of catching up to do. So this video will about a specific topic. I want to try out the different types of sound recording with the Sony RX 107 and the Sony ZV-1. And also I bought the DJI Mic 2, which is what you're hearing now if the recording works as intended. It's the first time that I'm using the microphone, so I just hope that the recording works and such. So in this configuration now, the microphone is hiding here in my shawl, and it's the typical configuration that you would use for lavalier type mic, Bluetooth mic, which is what you see usually people use and such. Also something different today. During the last vlogs I always recorded in 60p Full HD. Today I'm recording in 30 FPS 4K because I was curious to see the difference after not using it for such a long time, and especially how the high shutter speeds affect the, how to say, cinematic effect, because the Sony RX 107 that I'm recording on now does not have an ND filter. So currently we are at pretty high shutter speeds, probably about 800ths of a second. So let's see how this looks in the end. It's not my goal that it looks the most nice, because today I want mostly to try the audio. So now recording from here. Something else that I was curious to experience is filming or using the DJI mic as some kind of a remote mini shotgun microphone. Currently it is mounted to the cage, and because I don't trust so much the internal microphones of the Sony ZV-1 and the RX 107, maybe the DJI 2 mic or DJI Mic 2 does a better job as a general purpose microphone on the cage than the internal microphones. That's what we are going to see later when editing this video and publishing it. So this is now the internal recording of the Sony RX 107. I'm also pretty curious to hear how it sounds, whether it's usable or not. Because if it was, then it would be really cool to sometimes not have to carry an extra shotgun microphone or Bluetooth microphone, because it makes the camera really bigger. But from my previous experiences it didn't sound so nice. So yeah, let's see how this will sound later in editing. And last but not least, with the Sony RX 107, I'm recording without any cage at all, because the cage is in front of some of the microphones, so my assumption is that it must deteriorate somehow the recording quality, and thus be better to be recorded without having a cage in the way, even though the cage brings many benefits like a real good grip and places for accessories. But yeah, what do you think? Is the sound any different with or without the cage in this setting? And now we switch the camera. I'm now recording with the Sony ZV-1. You will probably even notice this very quickly because it has the flip screen on the side. So sometimes I'm looking off to the camera because I am trying to see how I look. And instead of looking at the lens, I'm looking at the screen, and this looks a little bit odd. But yeah, this is now the internal microphone of the Sony ZV-1, and I'm pretty curious to see whether there is a real difference in recording quality compared to the Sony RX 107. The microphones look pretty different and are also set to, and also have a different setup. Nevertheless, from what I understood and I saw on my own videos and from fellow YouTubers on the internet, is that the RX-7 performs a bit better than the Sony ZV-1, despite that the Sony ZV-1 is supposed to have phones that is more suitable for real videography. So let's see how this turns out. I'm curious to see the difference. Probably something that can be noticed very quickly is that the Sony ZV-1 has the ND filter, so should reduce the shutter speeds immensely. So let's try the super zoom in 4K. One of the advantages of having the microphone not directly on the camera is that you can less hear operating noises like the electronical motor of the zoom or tapping on buttons. So yeah, let's check out more things about the microphone. For example, I'm looking forward to be able to film myself in the distance and not having to stand directly in front of the microphone. But for that I have to set up the tripod. So let's find a nice spot, put the camera on a tripod and check out how far away I can record from. It's really cold. All of the snow that you saw in the last video melted away, but during the night it cools down to almost minus 10 degrees. So it's still very cold, just that there is no beautiful snow. This is really something that I don't really like in winter, but at least it's dry and not raining all the time. That's already a big advantage. Also currently I'm using the DJI Mic without noise cancellation. It's one of the biggest features, but I'm not using it yet. So yeah, now it should record from, I think this is about 10 meters distance. And this is something that would not have been possible without a remote microphone like the DJI Mic 2. And I'm curious to see in which kind of cool settings this will be useful. As you can see, the RX 107 also is able to do some nice blurry background if you do it with lots of distance to the background. And the only biggest issue is if you're walking alone like I am doing now, then seeing yourself on the very small screen of the RX 107 at this distance is kind of difficult. I guess currently I should be in frame. I hope so. If it's not the case, I don't know. This is probably mostly something for when you are two people for filming than if you're alone. Unfortunately, the app that I try to use on the phone is pretty useless because it loses connection very quickly. Even if you're just 1 meter away from the camera, it's not able to show the display anymore, so it's almost useless for these kind of applications. Unfortunately, Sony is really not good about the app, even if this camera is only 3 years old. All right, that's it for today, and see you soon. Bye.